The Euphrates is one of the longest and historically important rivers in history. The difference in water level of this river between 2020 and 2022 is large. Ancient people used this water body as their main source of water. Recently, a man showed a video of this river showing that the water level dropped in a very short time. It also shows that there is a complete structure under the Euphrates, whose stairs are neatly arranged and still intact. Scientists claim that countries in the Middle East are suffering from increased drought in recent years. Temperatures are likely to continue to rise in the next few years. The Euphrates, the tiger that has caused great controversy in most religious texts, is said to dry up completely by 2040. Many scientists said lower water levels would reduce the amount of pollutants. This increases toxicity to wildlife with increasing temperatures. They say that all that live in these rivers are struggling to survive. It is said that the Euphrates River watered the Garden of Eden and helped the birth of a vast civilization. Thousands of years ago, Mesopotamia flourished with the help of this river. It was in its prime at the time. Ancient archaeological structures emerge from the river as it dries up. The once submerged cliffs have revealed tombs built on pre-Christian cliff faces. What lies beneath the Euphrates? There are many prophecies and stories about the drying up of rivers. Christianity, Islam, and ancient Babylon all have something to do with this river and what lies beneath it. Both Christianity and Islam teach that this river dries up. Babylon also has an old legend that there was a tunnel under the Euphrates River that connected the two halves of the city of Babylon. Mrs. Spott's prophecy in Christianity, written in N9580, tells us that the Euphrates will dry up at the end of the year, almost 2,000 years ago. The Apocalypse gives us two prophecies concerning the Euphrates. The first is Revelation 9:13-15. When the sixth angel blew his trumpet, a voice was heard from the four corners of the golden altar which was set before God. Regarding the sixth angel who sounded the trumpet, the four angels who were bound to the great river Euphrates, and the four angels who were ready to kill them for this hour, day, month, and year. We are told to release 1/3 of mankind. This is a reference to the doomsday battles taking place within it. The next prophecy concerning the Euphrates tells us that the Euphrates will be exhausted. The amazing thing about this prophecy is that we are now seeing its early stages, as various countries have dammed the rivers, and the areas around the rivers are suffering from severe drought. Revelation 16:12 states that the sixth angel poured out his bow, or the great river Euphrates, and its waters dried up, allowing the king's way to come from the east. Now we see the forerunners of various bridal prophecies. God now warns those who have eyes to see and ears to hear that the time is short. The Euphrates has never dried up. Why has it dried up so quickly now? And it has been said that Revelation does not corrupt or eliminate the use of that water. Prepare a way for the kings invading from the east. Draughts are called rivers 5 times in the Bible. It was the eastern limit of Israel's heritage. According to the Bible, this river was difficult to cross, and the wilderness to the west separated it from the promised land, Canaan, which provided some protection from Israel. It flows about 2,000 miles toward Palestine before heading southeast to Persia. In the 1st century, when the book of Revelation was written, the Euphrates River divided east and west, with the kingdoms of China and India lying to the east. The Euphrates River is also mentioned in the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Genesis was written about 30-50 years ago, around 165 to 150 BC. Islam also teaches that the Euphrates does this. 600 years after him in the Ascension Apocalypse, the Quran states that the river Euphrates will dry up and mountains of gold will appear. It is said that it takes less than an hour for the Euphrates to dry up. A golden mountain appears. 99 out of 100 people die in battles over obtaining this code. Prophet Muhammad says that everyone will think he is the only one who keeps silent. No one knows exactly when the Euphrates will dry up, but reports say that without action, his 2 main rivers in Iraq, the Euphrates and the Tigris, will run for 20 years, expected to be completely depleted within. But the Arak County Water Authority will be a riverless country by 2040. According to local media headlines, the Euphrates Tunnel was said to have been built between 2180 BC and E 2160 being built. The LA Tunnel is said to connect his two palaces on either side of the Euphrates. The location of this tunnel is still unknown today, but is documented in two of his books dating to 50 BC. After this work was completed in his 260 days, the river became an ancient canal. As rivers flow throughout the world, Sams was able to travel from palace to palace without crossing a river. She also created two bronze gates at each end of the vault that lasted until the time of the Persian Empire and Philostratus in 2050. Ed also describes the construction of the tunnels and the life of Polius of Turan in Book 125, quoted in Babylon. Likewise cut in half under the Euphrates, an extraordinary bridge passes under the river and is connected by an invisible walkway to the palaces on both banks. A woman, Medea, is officially the queen of these parts and is said to have crossed the rivers below in a way no river had previously, because she got the stone. It was written copper and pitch, but all found it underwater for use in masonry, and heaped it up along the banks of rivers. She then diverted the stream into the lake, and as soon as the river was dry, she crouched down to a depth of 2 fathoms to create a hollow tunnel. It pierced the palace on both sides of the bank like an underground cavern, and she made the roof level with the stream bed. This stabilized the foundation and walls of the tunnel, but the pitch needed water to become rock hard, so the Euphrates was returned while still soft on the roof, and there stood a crossroads. The river has a long and interesting history, and is said to have played an important role in the final days before Christ's second coming. Tracking this stream can be a good way of knowing what time and season we are transitioning. It's interesting to see if there are any. The Syrian river god was called the Euphrates, lived in Western Asia, and was known as the river god in modern-day Turkey. From the Bible to Babylon, the Euphrates has been and will continue to be an important part of Earth's history. It is a dry proof of Bible prophecy, which is happening in our lives right now. By this point, all other prophecies of the Bible have been fulfilled. It is important to pay attention to the unfulfilled people who are getting closer to fulfillment each day. Since the Garden of Eden was the Euphrates, and as that water dries up, it is a sign of the last days of the earth as we know it. Soon Jesus Christ, Son of God, one with God, will return to usher in the millennial kingdom. I can fix it. What a wonderful day to appear in Song of Solomon 8:6-37. You asked me to mark your heart as you mark your arm, because love is as strong as death, jealousy just as cruel. They are flames or flames of fire, supreme flame. Much water cannot quench love, nor can the tide drown it. There was a time when the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in the Middle East was so lush and fertile that it got the name Fertile Crescent. But now desertifications are on the rise and entire communities are dying. Humanitarian groups fear imminent catastrophe in Syria if the Euphrates River dries up. In Syria, the flow of the Euphrates River is rapidly decreasing. The situation threatens to hamper the functioning of the largest hydroelectric power plants, and the number of camp-ready shrines and hawks has further declined due to the lack of clean water and electricity supplies. They don't get enough rain, which is seriously hurting farmers in agriculture. People fight over water, fueling disputes among many agricultural communities that rely solely on river water for irrigation. Without proper rainfall and irrigation, these soils become too saline, rendering much of Iraq's arable land useless. Our Bible prophecies are fulfilled. The Bible prophesies many times. As the end times draw near, the Euphrates will dry up. Are we in the end times?